What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word? Hummingbird. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Season 9, Episode 6. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Let's start off with Gino and Jasmine. First of all, before we get too deep into that, I have a question for Michelle. Gino's cousin's wife, Michelle. I have a question for you, girl. Michelle, I thought that your husband, Dana, Gino's cousin, I thought this man was a provider. I thought he was taking really good care of you. I thought that he was able to provide you with a nice, beautiful home to live in because I'm very confused. If your husband, Dana, is such a great provider and he has put you in a very comfortable home, why do you feel the need to take up residence in between Jasmine's butt cheeks? I don't understand how you are so embedded in between Jasmine's butt cheeks to the point that you're looking like not just a mean girl, but like a really vicious woman, siding with Jasmine in all of her mean girl shenanigans against Natalie. Like, I don't understand. You don't know Natalie. Okay, I'm getting too far into it. Let's just get into it. Okay, so the episode starts off with Gino. Natalie has arrived in Michigan. Remember, Gino had invited Natalie to Michigan because he wanted Natalie to meet his family. So she's staying at a hotel and he goes and he gets her, I thought, which was a really pretty bouquet of flowers to welcome her to Michigan. So he goes to her hotel, gives her the flowers, they're chit chatting, talking about this, that, and the third. And then there's a hot tub in the room. And so she wants to get things started. And so she changes into her bikini and he strips down to his swimming trunks or whatever he had. They get the bubbles starting in the hot tub. They get in the hot tub and Natalie's feeling very romantic. She's feeling very amorous. And, they have the champagne and they have the hot tub and all the bubbles. And so she's like really feeling in the mood with Gino. And so she's asking Gino, what about if you spent the night with me tonight? And Gino hesitates. Now, in his confessional, he tells us that he didn't realize until this moment how much Natalie looked like Jasmine. And it was like really messing with his psyche. The fact that Natalie looked so much like Jasmine that he couldn't get Jasmine out of his mind. And so he basically chooses not to spend the night with Natalie because he says that when I do take that next step with Natalie, I don't want Jasmine in my mind at all because he could not shake Jasmine out of his mind. He couldn't get her out of his mind as he was looking at Natalie because they were so similar in appearance. And so he's like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. And she's like, oh, I totally understand because, yes, you still have to deal with things with Jasmine. And Gino was like, yeah, I'm still like legally married to her. And I don't want to, I guess he didn't want to make it seem like he was cheating on Jasmine or whatever the situation was. Okay, fine. So he didn't spend the night with her. Natalie remarks on how Michigan Gino is completely different from Las Vegas Gino because in Las Vegas, Gino would have been spending the night. He would have been all up in that if they were still in Vegas because he wasn't even thinking about Jasmine in Vegas. But for whatever reason, now that he's in Michigan, he's a whole lot different. He's a lot more reserved. And she's just like trying to understand exactly what's going on with this man. So she's concerned that he may not be over Jasmine, rightfully so. Okay. And I don't think it's an issue of him not being over Jasmine. I think he's just scared of Jasmine. If Jasmine were to find out that he spent the night with Natalie, she would probably go completely berserk on him. I think he's probably scared and intimidated by Jasmine. Moving on from that. So the next morning, they go out for coffee together, and Gino expresses his appreciation to Natalie for her understanding why he didn't choose to spend the night with her. He wasn't trying to be standoffish or mean or distant. It's just that he's got some unresolved issues with Jasmine. And she was like, yeah, whatever, I get it. So then he also tells her that at his cousin's birthday party, which is where he plans to introduce Natalie to the rest of his family, he tells her that at my cousin's birthday party, my cousin Michelle invited Jasmine. So I'm just giving you a heads up that Jasmine is going to be there. And so Natalie is totally confused. She's like, okay, I don't understand why the woman that you are separated from, like, why is she still hanging out with your family and attending birthday parties for your family members? Like, I don't get it. Oh, we don't get it either. But we all know it is definitely for the show. It's for a scene. So then moving on later on that night, they arrive at Dana's birthday party, and Natalie, Gino, they are there. And this is before Jasmine shows up. So while it's just Natalie and Gino there, Michelle, okay, Michelle, moronic Michelle, asks, um, she brings up Jasmine, and she says something like, how did the dinner go? He asks Gino, so how was your dinner with Jasmine the other night? And of course, Natalie was like, what do you mean the dinner? What? She didn't know about it. Gino didn't even tell Natalie that he had met up with Jasmine. And so to talk about their relationship and what they were going to do with their relationship and their marriage, Natalie had no idea. So Messy Michelle says, well, how was your dinner the other night with Jasmine, Gino? And so Gino says, well, first of all, it wasn't dinner. We just met up at a bar. I don't know what difference that made. Maybe meeting up at a bar didn't sound as romantic as, meeting up for dinner. I don't know what difference it would have made. The issue, though, Gino, is that you didn't tell Natalie that you met with your estranged wife or your current wife or whatever the hell's going on with your sister wife, whatever the hell is going on over there. So, like I said, Natalie did look confused. And Michelle says, well, when you had dinner, did you tell Jasmine that it was over between the two of you? And Gino says, well, we didn't have dinner. We met at a bar. And I did bring up, the divorce. I did bring up divorce. So Natalie tells Gino, she's like, wait a minute, I'm so confused because you're like telling me one thing, you're telling Jasmine something different. Like, what the hell is really going on here? So at this point, Jasmine arrives, and arrives with guns blazing, acting a complete dumb fool. She comes in. I don't know if this woman was on cocaine. I don't know if she was drunk. I don't know what this woman was on, but she comes in and she just automatically is like, is this a birthday party or is this a stripper party? Implying that Natalie's a stripper. So she proceeds to say all of these really derogatory things to Natalie, calling her a prostitute, calling her a whore, uh, talking about, calling her Las Vegas, or like all these horrible things to Natalie. And it's like, why are you bringing all of this heat to this woman that you don't know? You don't know what's really going on between her and Gino. And you brought your damn boyfriend, your future baby daddy with you, the man that you are currently sleeping with. Now, as far as we know, Natalie and Gino are not even sleeping together. They're not even having sex. You and Matt are getting it on like it's nobody's business because this man ended up knocking you up and you had his child. So you're living with this man, sleeping with this other man. This is your future baby daddy that you bring to this party, and you're calling Natalie a whore and a prostitute. Like, I don't understand. Like, none of this is making any sense to me at all whatsoever. So I'm sitting there like watching this scene. I'm like, why is she calling her all of these derogatory names when she herself brought her own boyfriend and this is the man that she's actually sleeping with? So, okay, so she starts with all of the name calling. Of course, Natalie gets activated. So she walks up to Jasmine. She kind of enters Jasmine's personal space. And Natalie pushes her back. Now, some people might think if you enter my personal space, then you're asking for it. Then whatever happens after this, it's not my fault because you're entering my personal space. You're violating, my personal space. But the other people might think that it doesn't matter if no one is touching anybody. As soon as you put hands on her, it's your fault that this fight ensued. You're the one that's in the wrong and you're the one that crossed that line because you put your hands on her. So Jasmine proceeds to push Natalie back. Then everybody gets involved trying to keep the two women apart. There was like pull sticks and everything. It could have gotten really dangerous. So everybody's trying to keep the two women apart, and Jasmine is just spewing all of these really ugly, nasty names to Natalie. And because there are so many people in between them, and during this melee, Michelle, who was standing kind of like behind Jasmine during, this part of the women trying to go at each other and everybody keeping them apart, I saw Messy Michelle fall flat on her face behind Jasmine. And she got right back up, almost demon like she wasn't even phased by the fact that she fell. She just got right back up, respawned, and was ready to defend her queen, Jasmine. So Jasmine kept calling her a whore. And Natalie steps out of this establishment, this pool hall bar, whatever this was. So she steps outside, and somebody's like, Gino, go after her. Like, Gino didn't even have the wherewithal. Oh, speaking of Gino, when Jasmine came in and was, calling Natalie all of these names, Gino did nothing and said nothing. And I felt like Gino should have stepped in and would have been like, hey, wait a minute. No, we're not going to do that today. Don't call her names. Don't talk to her like that. You don't know her. But Gino said absolutely nothing. Natalie was in this by herself. She was in this alone because Gino was, he was like frozen and mute. So after Natalie steps out, Gino does go and follow her, and Michelle tells Jasmine, "Yeah, you showed her. Showed her what? Showed her that she's stupid and moronic and immature, and like acting like she's high on coke, acting like she's out of her mind, acting crazy, acting out of character. What exactly, Michelle, did Jasmine show Natalie? What did she show her? That this woman who has kids, okay, and one of her sons is special needs, this woman who has children still waiting for her to bring them to the United States so that they can reunite with their mother, instead of being worried about bringing her children here, instead of that being her main plot line on this show, her thing is to show up, start calling this woman a prostitute, a whore, because she happens to be Gino's friend, because technically that's all they are right now, because she's Gino's friend. Gino was nice enough to bring her to his cousin's birthday party because he is, beginning to like her or whatever, wants to introduce her to his. So, what exactly, Michelle? I'm so confused. I'm so lost. I don't know if living in between Jasmine's butt cheeks, I don't know if you're getting enough air in there and you're just talking nonsense because not enough oxygen is traveling to your brain. I'm not understanding exactly what you think Jasmine should have shown Natalie. Moving on. So Jasmine tells her minions, Matt, Michelle, I don't know if Dana's part of the crew. She tells her little minions that Natalie is a prostitute because she's messing around with a married man, my husband, Gino, and he's married and she's with him. But you are a married woman who ended up having a baby with somebody else. Okay, I'm not understanding. You are a married woman who was, and okay, so her defense might be for someone like me to tell Jasmine, you're a married woman sleeping with another man. Oh, but Gino gave me permission. He gave me permission. He said it was okay for me to sleep with Matt. I introduced him to Matt because that was one of our rules that we have to introduce the third party to our spouse. And he didn't introduce Natalie to me. So he's basically cheating on me and she's a mistress. That's just his mistress because I know nothing about her because he failed to introduce her to me. So he didn't follow one of our open marriage covenants. So she's just a mistress. Whereas Matt is her legal boyfriend, I guess. I don't know what. Her approved boyfriend. And Natalie, because Gino did not introduce Natalie or ask Natalie's permission if he could be with her, she's just a mistress. So he's really technically the one that's cheating in this marriage. Jasmine, you're foolish, you're stupid. The way you're conducting this so-called marriage is not making any sense to me. Okay, and I think I'm a fairly reasonable person. I think I can connect the dots, but this is making no sense to me. And when you talk about Gino agreeing to the open marriage, he reluctantly agreed. He wasn't like, yeah, Jasmine, that's a great idea, because some men might have been like, oh yeah, that's a fantastic idea, because then it gives them license to go be with other women. If my wife wants to be with other men, then I can go be with other women, and yeah, let's do this. But Gina was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about my wife sleeping with another man. So Natalie blames, so outside, Natalie is really giving it to Gino, and she's like, I did not come all the way from Las Vegas for this. This is criminal what they did to me. This is absolutely criminal. And it was. It was. She's like, I didn't come all the way here for this. And she tells Gino, I blame you 100%. I blame you, Gino, because the one thing that I asked you to do was before you move forward with me. And I think inviting her to meet your family is moving forward in some type of romantic connection with her. So she was like, I told you the one thing that I wanted you to do was to end things with Natalie, make it very clear to her that you don't want to be with her and that there is no hope for reconciliation. The fact that Gino really didn't defend Natalie and he was practically mute while Jasmine was attacking her, it said a lot to Natalie. She could interpret that as he probably still has feelings for her because he really didn't stand up for me. Another thing, Matt, sweetheart, what are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? Do you see the fact that Jasmine is so riled up with let's back it up a little bit. Remember in previous episodes Matt has made fun of Gino, calling him senile, calling him old, calling him stupid. Like, why do you waste your time with him? Why do you want to go talk to him? Make it like he's like talking about how he's slow and he's old and da, 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 da. Okay, so this slow senile man, slow, senile, insecure man is making your girlfriend activated like this. It's making her act out of character because she's so enraged that he is with another woman. Okay, your girlfriend Jasmine, Matt, I'm talking to you, Matt, your girlfriend. Okay, y'all like to get together with Jasmine and Messy Michelle and talk about how stupid and old and slow Gino is. This stupid old man is making your girlfriend, your future baby mama, act completely out of character because she can't take the fact that another woman is in his life. That's how much of an effect Gino has on your girlfriend. That's how much of an effect he has on her. Okay, that she's acting completely asinine. I was so disgusted by that scene. So disgusted. I don't think I have anything else to say other than Natalie, run. Run. I don't know what's going on between you and Gino. I don't know if you would have been with a guy like Gino if he wasn't on a television show. I don't know if your feelings for him are genuine or not, but you need to run. Run, go right back to Vegas, anywhere but here. Run away. Moving on to Guillermo and Kara. So Kara talks about how much she misses Guillermo. She misses her husband and blah 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 blah, but she's still very disappointed that he had accused her of cheating. Like, I don't know what else to say, Kara, other than if your husband is asking you who are you talking to on the phone when he sees you giggling and snickering on the phone while he's not in the room and he walks into the room and you're acting like this. And he's like, who are you talking to? And you tell him none of your business. I don't know, like, what else you would. I think any man would have the same type of reaction, like, okay, you must be talking to another man, another dude. Because, like I said, a smart woman would have just said, oh, I'm just talking to my friend, Elena. Elena, she's a hoot. Whether you're talking to Elena or not, that's what you would have done to protect your husband's. Like, you handle that so wrong. This is when keeping it real goes wrong. Do y'all remember Dave Chappelle when he used to have the Dave Chappelle show? When he used to have this one segment called "When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong." This is when you keeping it real, Kara, went completely wrong. You think that you're being, I don't know what you thought you were doing or who you thought you were when you told your husband none of your business when he's asking you who you're talking to. Girl, I don't know why you thought the outcome would have been any different than what it is. So she's hoping that, okay, so she has a show. She's going to be doing her show. She's going to be performing her bachata. And so she's really hoping that Guillermo is going to be there. And Kara tells us that if Guillermo does not appear at her show, it's going to tell her something about which direction their marriage is going to be going. So if he's not there to support her, even though they're in this deep marital strife, if he's not there to support her and to put aside the fact that he believes she was talking to another man on the phone and didn't want him to know about it. But she's like, if he doesn't show up to support me after all of that, then I'm going to know that, this marriage is headed for disaster. So while she is starting her performance, we see Guillermo, and he's like he's on the porch of this little house. It's not the house that he shares with Kara and their son. It's like this little dilapidated little shack of a house, and he's on the porch and he's like fixing something. And the producers are like, "Are you going to be going to Kara's show?" And he's like, "No." Absolutely not. He was like adamant. He didn't even have to think about it. He was like, nope, you will not see me there. Not today, not tomorrow, not no day. I am not going to be at that show. And so he got himself a little rental. When Kara kicked him out, he got himself a little rental and he's on the porch fixing a chair. And he said that he's glad that he's not going to be at her performance because he says, I might see something over there that's going to piss me off. He says it's either going to be how the men interact with her or how the men are looking at her, or it's going to be how she's dressed. Now, talking about how she's dressed, Guillermo tells us that he has mentioned to Kara before he doesn't like how provocative she dresses when she's performing on stage. And Kara had told him, who the hell do you think you are to tell me how to dress? So he didn't like her reaction when he had mentioned that he felt uncomfortable with how she dressed on stage. Now, the outfit that we saw, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I don't know if he's referring to her dressing like that because the outfit that we saw tonight, to me, I was like, okay, that's cute. There's nothing really crazy about that. It wasn't like she was up there in a G string and pasties. You know, she was fully covered. Of course, she was showing her. I mean, it was a decent, she's a performer. That's how the girls are dressing nowadays on stage. I don't know if you want her there in a winter coat and mittens and a scarf and snow boots. I'm not exactly sure what you expect her to wear on stage when she's singing. This is like a sexy song, right? It's a sexy, sultry song, and she has to play the part. So Guillermo, I think maybe you're a little bit insecure with that. Like she's a performer and she has to dress a certain way to get the crowd going, to, leave that alone. So he doesn't okay, Kara told him, okay, blah blah. So after the show, Kara goes back home alone and she says it really didn't hit her that Guillermo was not there for her until the show was over and she's riding home alone, where she would normally be riding with Guillermo right next to her. So she's like, she felt alone, she felt unsupported by Guillermo, and she's like really sad and disappointed that he didn't show up. And I'm like, I can't imagine him wanting to show up after you kicked him out, after you told him it's none of your business as far as who you were talking to on the phone. Um, and if he has an issue with how you're dressing, yes, you do have the right to wear whatever the hell you want to wear. And plus, you're a performer, so you have to dress a certain way. But I wouldn't respond to my husband, who the hell are you to tell me how to dress? I would be like, Guillermo, look, I have to dress a certain way. I'm a performer. This is what gets people going. This is what's putting money in our bank accounts. Moving on to Andrei and Elizabeth. So Andrei tells Elizabeth that the party, because Elizabeth is still very confused about this party that Andrei threw for her, the surprise party in Moldova. And she's like, this was like we were at a wedding. Like, what was this all about? And so Andrei finally tells her this was a party, a celebration for us moving to Moldova. And Elizabeth is like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I never said I was okay with moving to Moldova. We're still talking about it. We're still discussing this. I have not made a final decision yet. So she tells him that, I don't feel seen or heard by you. I keep telling you that I'm not ready to make a decision. I got to think things through, and you're just not hearing me. You're just moving full steam ahead with us moving to Moldova. So he actually ends up calling her controlling. He tells her you're very controlling because you want to always be the one to make decisions for our family on how we should live and where we should live. And Elizabeth was like, am I in the Matrix or something? You're the one that acts like that, not me. You're the one that's controlling and making all the decisions for us, to hell with what anybody else says or thinks. So she's about to take a shower, right? And so he tells her, go take a shower. And when you come out, you need to change your mood. I was like, oh, is this really how it gets down in their household? Or is this just for the cameras? Because I was like, damn, Andrei. So then he calls her, you independent. And he said it really nasty. So he was insulting her. This was not a compliment. When he told her, you independent American woman who wants to do everything for yourself. I was like, wow. But I've always known. I know Elizabeth goes through a lot with that man. The way he is on camera, I know he's probably 10 times worse in the privacy of their own home, because Andre has no filter. He has no control. Um, None of that. And I know that he goes full throttle with her at home. What we see on camera, I think, is just a hint of how he really is. So they finally move out of his parents' little tiny apartment and they have their own rental. And so Libby's really happy about that. So Chuck shows up, Libby's dad. He shows up. And while they're talking in the kitchen, the dad brings up the $75,000 property investment. Now, we kind of heard about this first in the segment with Alexi, Lauren, Jovi, and Yara. But because they were so boring, I saved them for last. But they actually brought that up first. So in their segment, Alexi, Lauren, Jovi, and Yara, they were all having dinner together. And as they sat down to have dinner, I was like, I pray to God that they're not going to talk about Andre and Libby. I pray to God that they're going to have their own storylines to talk about or to bring up other than Andre and Libby. So they sit down, and as soon as they get started, they talk about Andre and Libby. And Alexi is the one that had brought up that Andre had mentioned to the guys that he had invested $75,000 in some investment property, and the guys took the money and ran. The contractors or whoever took the money and ran. And so there's no building, there's no nothing, there's no money. And so Jovi was like, wait a minute, Alexi, we weren't supposed to bring that up. Remember, Andre told us not to tell anybody. And Alexi pretended like he forgot. So then, of course, the discussion, they start gossiping. Oh my God, does Libby even know that this is happening? Does Libby know that the money's gone? Da, da, da. And so all of them at the table were of the consensus that this is none of our business except for Lauren. Lauren was like, oh, I just can't believe he did this. I told you that Andre was, this bad, horrible guy. And it seems as if she is itching to tell Elizabeth that, hey, the money that your husband invested in this investment property, the guys took the money and ran. So you're not going to see any returns. You're not going to see any property being built. You're not going to see anything. I feel like Lauren is itching to tell that. Now, since I've talked about them in Andre and Elizabeth segment, I don't think I have anything else to say about those people. So when Chuck shows up, he brings up this investment property. So he's like, what happened to that investment property that you invested $75,000 in? And Andre just kind of brushed it off, right? He doesn't really want to go into too much detail because I guess he got swindled. He doesn't want to talk about it. So Andre was like, oh yeah, it's going fine. We'll deal with that later. So Chuck feels like he's there to support his daughter Elizabeth and to kind of slow Andre down on this whole idea of moving to Moldova. And after that, we see them go look at property. So they look at different types of property. These were really nice apartments in Moldova. The first one was a little bit too bachelor pad, like Chuck had said. It was really, really nice, but it didn't look very like family friendly, like you could raise a family there. It looked very much like a bachelor pad. It was really nice, but it was very sleek and sexy, and it didn't look like a place where you want to raise children. Whereas the second property that they looked at was a townhouse. It looked a lot more spacious, and it did look like something that was built for a family. So Elizabeth is looking at all this property and she's very impressed. And she's like, wow, maybe moving to Moldova won't be that bad. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on to Adnan and Tiger Lily. So they are in search of a doula, not necessarily to help them give birth, but to help them with the placenta, because Tiger Lily, what she intends to do and what she had done with her previous pregnancies was she saved the placenta and had it encapsulated or turned into something edible. So they go see these doulas, and their specialty, I guess, is in placenta encapsulation or making placentas edible in some form or fashion. So they go there, they arrive. Adnan is extremely uncomfortable when he gets there because this is like a very pro woman friendly, obviously, because we're doulas. This is all about women giving birth and pregnancy and all of that. So, of course, it's very woman friendly. And they're all about making women feel comfortable with their bodies, feeling comfortable with the birthing process. So there's like little statuettes everywhere of like the female form. And the way Adnan was acting, it was as if there was like these pornographic pictures of naked women. They were just statues built in the image or shaped in the image of women's bodies. It was nothing salacious about it. They're very tastefully done, but he was so uncomfortable. And it just had a flashback of what was that girl's name? Stevie, and her paintings of women's bodies and whatnot. So Adnan was sitting there extremely uncomfortable. So Tiger Lily, I guess, felt bad for him. So she asked the women, the staff, because there was like a little statue on the table, on the coffee table that they were all sitting around. And Tiger Lily was like, oh, before we get started, can my husband feels really I'm trying to get that Tiger Lily voice, that Kim Kardashian mimic that she does. My husband is very uncomfortable with the statues. Can y'all please cover it up? And so they take a little blanket and they cover up the statue. It's like, okay, can we finally get started with the business at hand? So they talk about what placenta encapsulation is. Adnan is just disgusted from the very beginning. The fact that a woman is going to be eating her own placenta just completely nauseates him. And Targley is trying to explain to him, it's not like I'm just going to be taking a chunk out of my placenta as soon as it leaves my body. No, um, we are these people are going to encapsulate it, and it's going to dry, and then whatever. So to make matters worse, he's already uncomfortable with the statues. He's already uncomfortable with the whole idea of placenta encapsulation. So what do? They drag him into the kitchen. They pull out somebody's placenta from the fridge and they plop it on the kitchen counter for him to look at. Like, why are y'all doing this? Okay, Adnan is extremely immature. He has a lot of growing up to do, but I was kind of like on his side with this because he asked Tiger Lily, "Why did you bring me here? Why couldn't you do this on your own? You know the kind of husband that you have, Tiger Lily. Like, why are you dragging him to this?" Anywho, as soon as they took out the placenta, someone else's placenta, and plopped it on the kitchen counter, and they're like, "This is what it is." He was like, "Okay, I'm out of here," and he leaves the kitchen. And so he finally is like, "You know what? Fine. If this is what you want to do, go ahead and do it. I don't care how much it cost. Go ahead and do it," because he just wanted to get the hell out of there. Moving on to Darcy and Georgie. So they go visit an ancient Bulgarian castle. So they're supposed to be taking in all of this culture, all of this history. And what does Darcy want to do? Talk about their damn relationship and all their issues. And, are you ashamed of me? And like, why haven't you told your parents about me? And Darcy, can we get a break? Can we get a breather, please? 5 minutes of y'all not talking about y'all's relationships and him wanting or not wanting to talk about you with his parents. Can we please get a breather? So she talks about how I don't even know what she was talking about because I completely zoned out. So after that, they meet up with Georgie's friends for drinks. And basically, this was just about she was asking his friends like what was he like before he met me, and they're like, oh, he was a bachelor. Okay, you've heard of bachelors. He was a bachelor. He was really out there in those streets. And so then they talk about Darcy meeting his parents, and Georgie is like stressed the hell out about this meeting. And he tells us that I really want my parents to see that she's warm and she's funny and she's friendly and that she's loving. In a way, this is what I heard. This is what Cookie's ears heard, and I could be wrong. But when he said, I want them to really see the real Darcy, I heard, I want them to see past this this creation that she's done with herself, to see past the plastic surgery, to see past the duck lips, to see past the overly filled cheekbones, to see past the caterpillar eyelashes. I want them to see past all of that um, clownish circus stuff. And I want them to see the true heart of who Darcy is. It's not going to happen. Georgie, it's not going to happen because I have been watching Darcy for years. Okay. I'm not over it. I can't move past the exterior of Darcy. She is fun. She does come off as like caring and loving and all of that, but I'm still distracted. Moving on. Oh no, that's it, y'all. Because Alexi, Lauren, Jovi, and Yara, they had nothing going on other than talking about people that were not even there, which was Elizabeth and Andrei, and this $75,000 that Andrei supposedly lost in this investment property. So that's all they talked about. That's all they had going on. Nothing else. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.